Welcome to Life, Finance, and Real Estate, where we discuss how to make smart money moves, the ever changing real estate market, and of course, things going on in life. And here to talk about it more with you is your host, Kirby the Realtor.
Straight down, came up. God made a way. Stay down, came up. God made a way. Stay down, came up. God made a way. Let me tell you about it. You can sit and wait around. You can make it happen. I've been walking in the spirit. Ain't no way around it. And it's up. Yeah. And it's up. Yeah. Pedal to the metal, headed to the top. Swerving around the block, this be getting hot. It's so hot. The holy got a purpose, I can't ever stop. I got Lamborghini Mercy on me, I'm outside with the crew. Look at that, deja vu. Not with the trap, but I'm still on the move. Holy got the Holy Ghost, I'm jumping through the roof. I was down, but I stayed down, came up. God made a way. Stayed down, came up. God made a way. Stayed down, came up. God made a way. Let me tell you about it. You can sit and wait around, or you can make it happen. I've been walking in the spirit. Ain't no way around it. Running in the spirit.
Hey family, hey family, hey family. Welcome back to Life, Finance, and Real Estate with your girl, Kirby the Realtor. Yes, I said Kirby the Realtor. If this is your first time tuning in, I want to welcome you. And if you've been in the room with us over the last few weeks, thank you so much for staying, because this is not about casual listening. This is about intentional conversation. So before we get into today's message, as I always say, I just need you to take a moment, take a deep breath in, and whatever you're doing, whether you're driving, sitting, working, or just listening quietly, I want you to be present in this moment, because today is not about what? It's not about information. It is about honesty. And over the last 4 episodes, we've talked about owning a piece of America. We've talked about from hope into wishing. We've talked about authority and alignment, discipline and follow through. And we've established that ownership begins in the where? Ownership begins in the mind. And the hope without action keeps us what? Hope without action keeps us stuck. And that knowing is not the same as doing. Yes, you said it right. So today we're asking a deeper question. Why do so many capable, intelligent, talented people never start? Are you that person? Because I know a lot of them. Why do so many capable, intelligent, talented people never start? Not never succeed, but why do they never start? So before we move forward, let me explain why this question matters. Because starting changes everything. Starting exposes what you really believe. Starting reveals what you actually value. And starting forces you to confront whether your faith is theoretical or is your faith applied. A lot of people say they won't change, but they don't actually want disruption. Starting disrupts comfort. Hear me clearly. A lot of people say they want to change, but they don't want disruption. They don't want their schedule disrupted. They don't want the ability to be able to sleep in to be disrupted. They don't want the ability to be able to go here or do this to be disrupted. So they never start. Starting disrupts comfort. Let me say this clearly. I say it all the time. It's not that most people don't know how. It's not because they don't have the tools. It's not because it's not because they don't have the ability. It's because they stay stuck in preparation. See, we live in a culture that praises being almost ready. Almost. Brandon said in the song that almost doesn't count. It don't count. Almost confident, almost prepared, almost sure. Listen, almost never build anything. Starting is uncomfortable because starting removes excuses. And once you start, you can no longer say, I'm thinking about it. You have to deal with results, resistance, and responsibility. So today, we're going to talk about what's really blocking people from starting. And no, it's not laziness. I mean, it could be a part of it, but if we're just honest, it's not because you're lazy. It's because you're just stuck in preparation. Let me break a myth down right now. The myth of perfect timing. It's just a myth. There's no perfect time. There's only now and later. And later is where your dreams go sit. Later is where intentions expire. Later is where fear feels justified. Perfect timing is often just fear with better marketing. Do you hear me? Fear with better marketing. That tickled me. Block number 1 is fear disguised as preparation. This is the biggest one. A lot of people believe they are being responsible when they're actually being afraid. They say things like, I just need a little more time. I need to wait until things settle down. The market's not right. I want to make sure I'm doing it the right way. Now listen to me carefully. Preparation has an end point. Fear does not. Preparation moves you towards action. But fear keeps moving the finish line. They keep saying, I'm going to do, and the line keeps moving. You don't need 10 more podcasts to listen to. You don't need to watch the market every day. You don't need to wait for the perfect moment. If clarity is present, delay is usually fear, y'all. And fear is sneaky. It dresses itself up just like wisdom, logic, and caution. But eventually fear reveals itself through inaction. See, there's a moment in scripture I felt that fits what we're talking about today perfectly. The Bible talked about a man with a withered hand. Now, this wasn't a sudden injury, like it didn't just happen, or it was not temporary. It was withered, meaning it had lost strength, it lost movement, and he couldn't use it. But what was so important about this is that Jesus did not heal the man in private. Jesus did not ask him to explain how this happened. He did not ask him to, he didn't give him steps to strengthen his hand first. Jesus gave him instructions. He said, stretch out your hand. Think about that. The instructions came before the healing. The movement came before restoration. If that man had waited until his hand felt strong enough, he would have never moved it. If he had waited until it looked normal, he would have stayed stuck. Some of you are sitting with withered areas in your life. You got withered confidence. You got withered discipline. You got withered finances and withered faith. And God is saying, stretch it anyway. Fear tells you to protect what's weak, but faith tells you to move what's weak. You got to move. God often heals after obedience because obedience reveals trust. Healing before movement will remove the need for faith, but faith requires what? Faith requires action. What you move in obedience, God meets with power. Move in obedience. Some of you listen right now, you're not confused. And you're not overthinking what you already know. No, I'm sorry. You are thinking what you're overthinking what you already know. See, block number 2 is overthinking instead of obeying. And a lot of us can attest that we're guilty of block number 2, big time. We overthink. We make excuses. You already know you need the budget. You already know you need to do that what I spend sheet that I hate so much, that I now love, but I hated it. I hated it because you cannot unsee the truth. You can't unhear the truth. Do your budget. I want you to take out time to do that what I spend sheet for an entire month. And I want you to track your habits because you need to address those issues. You need to address your credit. You need to stop avoiding that lender conversation. You need to have the hard talk. The hard talk. The talk you feel you get a knot, you get tightness in your chest when you hear the words come out of somebody's mouth because you know they about to ask you something you don't want to discuss. You need to put a structure around your money. You got to tell your money where to go, not wondering where it went. But instead of movement, guess what overthinkers do? We just think. We think, analyze. We replay scenarios. And while we're doing all that, we feel like we're being productive. But it produces what? Produces absolutely nothing. Obedience is uncomfortable because it requires movement. And before everything makes sense, you have to be obedient. Move anyway. Faith doesn't mean you're going to make reckless decisions, but it does mean you're stop waiting for perfect conditions. That man with the withered hand could have overthought the instructions. He could have said, this ain't gonna work. I've tried this before. I don't want to go in front of those people. I'm going to be embarrassed. But obedience doesn't debate. Obedience moves. What you refuse to stretch will never be restored. Think about it. If that man hadn't stretched out his hand and obeyed, it would have never been restored. Hey, listen. I know we probably got some people that just tuned in. So if you're just tuning in to Life, Finance, and Real Estate with your girl, Kirby, I am Kirby the Realtor. Today's episode is about why most people never start and what's actually blocking them. And if this conversation is speaking to those who are already listening, I don't want you to tune it out. I don't want you to turn it off. I want you to listen. I want you to share it, because sometimes clarity feels uncomfortable before it feels freeing. And remember, this episode will replay at 6 p.m. And sometimes the truth needs to be heard how many times? Twice. Before we go any further, I want to pause 1 minute. I just want to pause for a moment. And I want to speak from my heart, because when I created this radio show, I was honestly wondering if I was helping anyone. Like, I knew that's my goal. I wanted to help, but I was wondering if people were actually listening. Even though I may have gotten texts from close family and friends, over the last week or so, I've just received an overwhelming amount of phone calls, text messages, inboxes from people that I don't know. And some of them don't even live here. This one message in particular really, really touched me. There was a woman, she reached out and she told me last week, it was her very first time listening. She said she took out her other device and she recorded it. And she said, I shared it with my daughter. And she told me she had been praying and seeking God for direction and clarity around her goals and next steps. And she shared some more things with me. And y'all, it really blessed me very, very much. It blessed me because this is the reason this show exists today. Like, Life, Finance, and Real Estate was never about me talking and being on the radio. It was about obedience that I've been putting off, procrastinating, overthinking for some years now. But it was about sharing what God has given me and how he's blessed me so that I can be a blessing to others. And I know what it's like to learn the hard way. I know what it's like to wish someone had have told me sooner. And if I can help shorten someone's learning curve, then I know that I'm walking in my assignment. I'm walking in my calling. And that's what this show is about. This show is about knowing and doing. It's about faith and action. It's about accountability and ownership, because there's a cost not to start. There's a cost. Opportunity expires. Confidence erodes. Your regret compounds quietly. It eats you up. It eats away at you. It makes you angry. Time keeps moving, whether you do it or not. So not starting is not going to keep you safe. It's going to keep you stuck. Now, let me recap for you real quick for my new listeners. Episode 1 asked you to take ownership. It talked about owning a piece of America. Episode 2 talked about going from hoping to wishing. Episode 3 talked about authority. It asked you to trust your authority. Episode 4 talks about alignment and follow through, like aligning your habits and following through with discipline. And if you skip those steps, this episode probably gonna feel a little heavier, because you need to make sure that you're doing all of these things, that you're taking ownership of what you didn't do, being accountable and walking in authority and looking at your habits and doing that what I spend sheet, do that budget. I can email it to you. You can email me to request it. You can email KirbyTheRealtor@gmail.com. It's KirbyThe Realtor, Realtor. Kirby the Realtor, because starting requires preparation and obedience working together. Let me give you some homework, because I want you to write down one thing you've been delaying. Now, I gave you homework over the last few weeks. I want to know, and if you've been doing it, I need you to email me. Let me know. If you've been saving $5, $10, $20 a week since we've started in December, let me know. I want to hear from you. I want to see how that's going and what it's looking like and how you're feeling about it. But homework for this week, I want you to write down one thing you've been delaying. Write down that one phone call, that one appointment, that one habit, that one conversation. Then I want you to write down why you've been avoiding it. Like, name it. Write it down. because fear loses power when it's named. You hear me? Fear loses power when it's named. Write it down. Write down that one thing you've been avoiding. Then take one step, because movement is your assignment. It's your assignment. This show is not one-sided. If there's questions you have, topics you want to discuss, things you're struggling with, I want you to email them in, KirbyTheRealtor@gmail.com. If you're thinking it, someone else is too, they just don't know how to say it, they're afraid to ask. And this space exists for honest. When I say honest conversations. Trust and believe the things I am discussing with you on this show are things that I have been through. I had to learn the hard way. That's enough of that. Let's get back on the blocks. We did block 1. We did block 2. Block 3 is comfort with potential. Here's another hard truth. Some people love the idea of what they could be more than the responsibility of who they're becoming. Let me repeat that. Some people love that ideal of what they could be. I could be a famous whatever. I could be this. I could make this much. I could. They love the ideal of what they could be more than the responsibility of who they're becoming. What do you mean about responsibility of who they're becoming? Like, I love the ideal of what I could be, but I don't want to have to be accountable, or I don't want to have to do this. I don't want to have to be prepare. Like, I don't want to have to. I don't want that responsibility. It's too much for me. Why can't it just be simple as me believing or hoping and wishing? See, the potential of knowing that you could do something, that's a safe feeling. Potential doesn't require consistency. You can have the potential. Potential doesn't get criticized. Potential doesn't fail publicly. But potential also doesn't produce results. See, the moment you start, potential turns into performance. And performance invites feedback. Performance invites accountability. Performance invites growth. And that's why some people stay in that planning phase forever. And as long as they don't start, they don't have to confront where they really are. Do you hear me? As long as I did not fill out that what I spend sheet, I didn't have to confront my spending habits. I didn't have to confront where I was. I didn't have to confront the truth. But let me say this. God does not reward potential. He rewards stewardship. He doesn't reward the potential that you can be a good steward over your money. He rewards when you do, when you can show that you are a good steward over your money. That man that had that with a hand, he could have stayed in that crowd, known only as someone with potential if his hand worked. He could have stayed in that crowd and people would have always known him as, well, if his hand worked, he probably could have did this. If his hand worked. But see, Jesus called him forward. And starting often requires stepping out where you're weak, where your weakness is visible, stepping out front. And that's why people avoid it, because they don't want to step out front. They don't want to seem weak. They don't want us to be seen weak. See, life, finance, and real estate connects together. It comes together. People say they want to own a home, but they never sit with a lender. They never get their credit right. They never even call a lender. They don't call a realtor. They say they want financial peace, but they never track their spending. You never do that what sheet? That what I spend sheet. They say they want freedom, but they never put structure around their habits. Never. If I never had to put structure around my habits, I wouldn't be where I am today. And I'm still growing. Ownership requires preparation. Yes, it does. But guess what it also requires? It requires courage. Owning a piece of America is not about rushing into a purchase. It's about being willingly to honestly look at your life, your finance, and your readiness. Starting doesn't mean finishing everything today. It means taking the right next step. Just like that man had to stretch his hand before he was healed, people have to stretch financially before everything feels comfortably. Think about that. I know some people can attest to that. You had to stretch financially before you got comfortable. You had to make some sacrifices. Stretching looks like telling the truth about your numbers. It looks like sitting with discomfort instead of avoiding it. Like it was so uncomfortable. I'm not even gonna say it was I was embarrassed to have to go over my finances with somebody that I didn't know. I was embarrassed because, let me be honest, you can look a certain way on the exterior and possess certain things. And then when you got to be vulnerable and let somebody look at your life, your finances, your bank statements, your spending habits, that's embarrassing. That was a stretch for me. It was very uncomfortable. And I avoided it for years. I thought I knew. Like, I had a whole Excel spreadsheet. One year, I'll never forget it. My sister was coming down and she joined this group called My Econ. And it was like 2:00 in the morning. And I was just like, I don't need this. I don't need that system. I got my stuff all together. So I had my little Excel spreadsheet and all my bills and all my debt. And I was just like, here it is. And she was like, sis, let me just show you something. And we started inputting my stuff in there. And y'all, I was shaking up. And that was the first time I thought I had it together, but still, about a year ago, I found out I still didn't have it together. But it was uncomfortable at first. And see, movement invites restoration. And because I invited, because I moved and I had movement, restoration began. Okay, block number 4, waiting for confidence. Now, this is an important one. Confidence does not come before you take action. Confidence is built through action. Let me give you some examples of that. Confidence is built through action. So I'm a real estate broker, right? And I have agents and I have new ones. And I tell them all the time, you're going to learn the most when you're doing it. So I may tell you to fill out something. You may not know everything to do. But if you just try and let me review it, I'm going to tell you what you need to fix and correct. And I'm going to walk you through it, but you have to do it. And while you're doing it, your confidence begins to grow because you're now more confident because, one, you've seen it. You saw it done. You've done it yourself. But it was built through you doing it, correct? So that's an example of confidence, how confidence built through action. Waiting to feel ready keeps people stuck. You don't gain confidence by thinking about budgeting. You gain confidence by doing it consistently. You don't gain confidence by watching the listings. You gain it by the process and taking steps. So starting while unsure is not a weakness. It's maturity. You become mature. Think about basketball players, people that never bounce the ball, and they bounce the ball and they're weak and their hands weak, their dribbling's off, all of that. And as they continue to do it, they become mature and their confidence boosts up. See, that man with the withered hand, confidence didn't heal the hand. Obedience, his obedience healed that hand. I want to pause here and ask you something honestly. What is one thing you keep saying you want to do, but haven't started? Not everything, just one thing. And ask yourself this: what am I actually afraid of? Because that's the key here. Figuring out what are you really afraid of. Admitting that it's really fear. What am I actually afraid of? Am I afraid of failure? Am I afraid of looking foolish? Are you afraid of being uncomfortable? Are you afraid of finding out I waited too long? Because there are times where we procrastinated to do something. And then when you finally have your mind made up, it's like, oh my gosh, I waited too long. Are you afraid of that? Because listen, awareness changes behavior. You don't need to judge yourself. You just need to tell yourself the truth. Tell yourself, what are you afraid of? There's a passage in the Bible that talks about faith without works being dead. And it's not because faith isn't real, but it's because faith that never moves, guess what? It never manifests. Even Abraham had to leave before he knew where he was going. Noah had to build before it ever rained. We're talking about Noah, y'all. Noah didn't know. He didn't. But he built that ark. He didn't have no plans or nothing. But Noah was obedient and he moved. He did what he was told to do. So he built before it ever rained. Movement always precedes manifestation. If that man with that withered hand hadn't never moved to the front and did what Jesus said do, his hand would have still been withered. You gotta move. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. Plan, budget, write it down, look at it, rip the Band-Aid off. Be vulnerable. Be okay with looking foolish if that's what it's gonna take. Be okay. Be okay with somebody knowing, like, now, let it be a trusted advisor, but be okay with them, like, knowing this is you, because the only way you can fix you is when you see the truth, hear the truth. Like, I had to hear the truth, girl. You thought your systems was the bomb. You thought your little Excel sheet was okay, but truth be told, it was not okay. That sheet was horrible. Let me leave you with this. Starting doesn't mean you have it all together. It means you're willing to take responsibility for where you are. You're willing to accept that you didn't know everything. You're willing to start. You don't need a new year. You don't need permission. You don't need perfect condition. You need a decision. Do you hear me? You need a decision. Next week, we're going to talk about order and why getting your life and finance in order creates freedom you didn't even know you were missing. Until then, don't just think about it. Take one step. Now, I've given you guys homework over the weeks, and I want to hear from you. I want to know if you've been saving. I want to know if you've been budgeting. I want to know if you talked with the realtor. I want to know if you talked with the financial advisor. I want to know if you've talked with your spouse or significant other about where you are. And I also want to know if you truly know what it takes to live your lifestyle. Do you really know what it takes to live your lifestyle? What does it take you to live day by day? I have a niece that lived with me or used to live with me. And when she was there, I was big on, hey, you got this, you need to budget that. What will it cost you? And anyway, long story short, I just want to say how proud of her I am, because she now budgets. She knows what it takes to eat the entire week. She meal preps. She's very, disciplined in her spending habits. Like, she's like, okay, well, it's going to cost me this much, and I spend this much on gas, but it took her a minute I wasn't being mean. I just wanted her to be aware, because as I tell all my nieces and nephews, I never want you where TT was at your age. I was trying to be, the best big sister, daughter ever, and had credit card debt up to my neck at the age of 18. You hear me? So think about that. I am 41 now. I turned 41 on January 11th. I'm 41, and at the age of 18, I had some massive debt at the age of 18 because I wasn't taught. I didn't understand. Anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in to Life, Finance, and Real Estate with your girl, Kirby the Realtor. And remember, ownership starts in the mind. It's built through action, and it is sustained through discipline. And until next time, own your peace. Bye for now. See you soon.
Thank you for tuning in to Life, Finance, and Real Estate with Kirby the Realtor. You can catch us every Thursday at 12 p.m. on 92.1 WJMG, 93.1 WGDQ, and also you can listen live at 921WJMG.com or 931WGDQ.com. If you happen to miss the live recording, don't fret, we'll replay it at 6 p.m. tonight. Thank you once again for listening to Life, Finance, and Real Estate.
Straight down, came up. God made a way. Straight down, came up. God made a way. Straight down, came up. God made a way. Let me tell you about it. You can sit and wait around. You can make it happen. I've been walking in the spirit. Ain't no way around it. And it's up. Yeah. And it's up. Yeah. Pedal to the metal, headed to the top. Swerving around the block, this be getting hot. It's so hot. The holy got a purpose, I can't ever stop. I got Lamborghini mercy on me. I'm outside with the cool. Look at that deja vu. Not with the trap, but I'm still